Hello and welcome to this new video on CI/CD or continuous integration and continuous delivery. This is one of the DevOps under 5 minute series videos, so let's dive in. If you have been in our industry, you know that whenever they are hiring any DevOps engineers or SR engineers, one of the main tasks that they want us to do is continuous integration as continuous delivery or continuous deployment. I imagine that that's a core thing that we do as industry, and that's the only thing that actually it has shown value a lot to the companies. That's why they hire us for that one. Else they would kind of write other things also on their job application or the job requirement. This being a core module of our task, let's dive into it and see what's happening in here. We have firstly continuous integration. This one dates back to year 2000 or so. In that time, they were kind of building the code, merging the code, and Git wasn't there yet in that time. We had Mercurial or SVN or other kind of repository managers. They were having a big issue, and that was there were a lot of developers. They were developing the code, and after they merged in, they were seeing a lot of issues. So there was somebody coming up with the idea of why not merging in on nightly basis and then building on nightly basis. Actually, there's an old article that it was saying that how you can do that. They were saying that if you have an old computer in your house or in your company, you can go in and kind of facilitate it as a build engine. So every time that somebody is merging the code, you can use that computer to build the code for you. Then you would kind of find out if there is some issues regarding the test or integration test. So after building the code, they are going to do different tests that can be unit tests, application tests, and integration tests to make sure that everything works fine together. After continuous integration, we have something else, and that is either continuous delivery or continuous deployment. I'm going to tell you what is the difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment, but essentially what it does is actually implements it inside the test environments or staging environments to be acceptance tests to be done, and then deploys it to the production. I imagine this continuous delivery and continuous kind of deployment, they weren't the thing until we had cloud, and it was so easy to deploy to the production then. But essentially this part delivery and deployment, it just talks about making the acceptance test and then deploying to the production. You can also package your software in here that can be also part of the continuous delivery. So after we have done the continuous integration, application test has been done, integration test has been done, we need to do the acceptances. So acceptances make sure that the feature that was requested for the users has been implemented completely. So acceptance tests, sometimes it's being done programmatically, sometimes it's being done by QA. So different people in the company can be involved in there. Here we are going to deploy in the test environment or staging environment automatically, and then we are going to do the acceptance test. After acceptance test being done, we are going to manually implement or deploy it in production. We are going to call it continuous delivery. If everything is going to be automatic, then we are going to call it continuous deployment. So that's the only difference of continuous delivery and deployment. There are a lot of software that they're giving us these features. We call it code pipeline. Basically, there is a pipeline that your code goes through it. Many of them are SaaS, for example, GitHub Actions, Jenkins. Every cloud provider, they came up with their own code pipelines technology, one way or another. Some of them not only give you the code pipeline, but also the repository. GitHub later, at the beginning, it was just Git repositories. Then they came with GitHub Actions that it was giving you the code pipelines. That's one of the mostly used ones in the industry, especially if you're using some kind of open source code. And I see a lot of traction these recently with CodeFresh. So if you're considering kind of playing with some of them, I consider working with CodeFresh too. That's one of the best ones in the industry, as far as I know. If you're new to this subject, I highly suggest going into Atlassian CI/CD continuous delivery page. They have a lot of insights about how you can be pretty good in your company in delivering and implementing these practices, and how you can be truly agile in delivering the software. The other one is a very good book, Hands-on Pipeline as Code with Jenkins. This one is one of the latest development in the industry, pipeline as a code, and maybe you'd like it. I hope you go in and delve into it. Thank you and have a great one.